Students of class 8A and 8B, today's lesson, Uprising of 1857. The following points are, as mentioned, impact of the Indians, educated Indians, impact among the conservative Indians, religious discrimination, racial discrimination. Now, what was about the impact among the educated Indians regarding the oppressive policies of the British? The British and their repressive policy resented Indian people. There are different groups of Indian people like educated Indians, uneducated Indians, conservative Indians, orthodox Indians. So the repressive policy of the British and their policy of annexation left vivid impressions among the Indians. The educated Indians were offered jobs. You know, the Christian missionaries who came to India in order to, in order to educate Indian people, the Orthodox Indian people were rather confused about the motive of the Christian missionaries. What was about their motive? They could not understand. They felt that it was a wrong step taken by the Christian missionaries in order to misguide the Indian Orthodox people or uneducated people. Their main intention was to convert the Indians from Hinduism to Christianity. That's why they boycotted. Indian Orthodox people boycotted Christian missionaries. But the Christian missionaries kept on doing it, establishing a number of schools, colleges throughout India. And at the same time, the special concessions were given to those people who, got themselves converted to Christianity. That means the people who are basically Hindus, under the guidelines of the Christian missionaries who converted themselves from Hinduism to Christianity, they were given special concessions by the British. And what type of concessions? The British supported the conversion of Indians to Christianity as per the legislation passed in 1850, and the converts were allowed to inherit ancestral property. So this act of misery, according to the conservative Indians and Orthodox people of India, hurt the sentiments of the Indian people. So the policy of policy of religious discrimination resented Indian people, and second one, the impact among the conservative Indians, impact among the educated Indians and conservative Indians. Now religious discrimination. Third point, religious discrimination. Indian people basically decided to organize a group through which they wanted to protest the system the British forcefully introduced among the Indians. They did not like to accept it, but this was reserved only for some posts, reserved for the British in the administration. By watching this kind of discrimination between the British and the Indian people, they decided to organize a group of people to protest against the act of misery of the British. Why? The British offered administrative posts for the English educated Indians, but at the same time special posts, higher rank posts were reserved for the British, and that's why the British. That's why this act of religious act of social and racial discrimination caused resentment among the Indians. This meant that the people belonging to the lower class had no right to have good jobs under the British administration, in spite of being educated. And besides, there was a system introduced by the British that Indians were not allowed to travel in the first class compartment, first class coaches, and first class coaches were allowed only for the whites or white rulers. No Indians would be allowed. Indians were allowed to travel. Were allowed to travel in the first class compartments because it was reserved only for the whites or white class people. That's why this meant that the people of India belonging to lower caste, they had right to travel together with the Brahmins in the ordinary coaches or other coaches or other classes. So it was nothing but it was considered as an attempt to corrupt the Indian Hindu religion. That's why the British could not understand, could not feel the pulse of the Indian people. So this act of religious discrimination created nationwide resentment, and people of India, they decided to organize protest against the British policy of discrimination, the British policy of humiliation. As the English became, besides, other point that is very important for the Indians, the British differentiated between the British and Indian people. The people who are basically educated, although they were offered posts in the British administration, but the ranks, whatever were the ranks which were given to them, were very ordinary. But the ranks means grade, rank were given to the Britishers were good, and their salary also was fat. That's why the British administration, the Indians who were offered jobs by the British did not fulfill their aim and expectation, and it harmed the sentiment. It harmed the Indian people, harmed the sentiments of the Indian people. And that's why education, the Britishers wanted to save their money, because although the Britishers appointed Indian people to be the employees under British administration, yet their main intention, yet they wanted to save the money and drain wealth to their country, England. How? Because the Europeans who were appointed in the administration, their salary was fat, but Indians who were educated and who were skillful also, their salary was comparatively less. That's why. Now, what was the intention and why was that difference? Why did the British differentiate between the British work office holders and the British and Indians? Those who are workers in administration, British workers and Indian workers as officers who worked under British administration, Indians had no scope for any kind of improvement, any kind of promotion, but the Britishers. So why was that difference? Because of the racial discrimination followed by the British. The British did not allow any Indians to be promoted to higher ranks, but the Britishers. Why? Because they wanted to save money. They wanted to deal Indian money for their own country, England, and that's why the Christian missionaries established a number of schools and colleges and encouraged Indians to be educated, so that the British must appoint more and more Indians in their administration, which would serve their purpose of saving money in order to drain it for their own country, England. So this is the reason this kind of racial discrimination created nationwide dissatisfaction, nationwide resentment, and also it harmed the sentiments. The policy of converting Indian Hindus from Hinduism to Christianity also caused great discontentment among the Indians, and the policies of making education as compulsory through the Charter Act of 1813. It was also a wrong measure or wrong method taken by the Britishers. And apart from this, the Orthodox people's sentiments also are hurt because of the old traditional system of Indians, which was being practiced by the Indians from the very beginning. The Britishers decided to remove it, they declared Sati system illegal. They abolished Sati. They introduced widow remarriage, passed Widow Remarriage Act, and they forbade from practicing child marriage. They also, forcefully introduced women education. So these type of things harmed Indian sentiments, especially those who are Orthodox people, those who are conservative people of India. So up to this, my dear students, thank you.